Okay, we're on Pale from the base, the bottom of the base, the Mishnah. Hagoyniv is a kisva. Zak the Mishnah. Hagoyniv is a kisva. Someone who steals a kisva. What's a kisva? Rashi says that the Gemara is going to explain, so we'll hold up on that. Makalal b'kaisim, somebody who's makalal b'kaisim. Kaisim is a kishiv machar. The Gemara is going to explain what that means also. V'abayil aramis, he's someone who's bayil a guy. Gaita. Kanon pagan by. The halacha is Kanon, people who are Mekana, the kin of Hashem Tzvakais, are pagan, him could kill him. Although they're the Oiv Yisrael from Apt, he says on this Mishnah, he says, Kabayl Aram is Kanon pagan by Lashon Pagia of davening. Kanon may have to daven for him. Right? But Pashup Shad is the Kanon could kill him. Kain Shashimesh Betama, a Kain who did the Avodah when he was Tamei. Ein echav kain mavinais lebezdin. The brothers, his brother Kain, do not bring him to Bezdin. That's not what you do. The young Kayanim, the Pirchei Kuna and Kayanim in training, bring him outside the Azara. And they bust his head with pieces of wood. Zar sheshimish b'migdash, a zar, a non-kayin who is mishamish in the migdash. Rabbi Kiva Imer b'chenek. Rabbi Kiva says the oynish he gets is chenek. V'chamim Rabbi Shemaim. V'cham say he gets misa b'dei Shemaim. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Let's see the Gemara. Gemara, my kisva. What is kisva? We said if you're going to steal a kisva, what's a kisva? Rav Yehuda klishares. A kisva is a klishares. V'chein norman, like the pasuk says, who has ksais hanesach. There's a pasuk later on that talks about the kelim of the I want to say it was the menorah. Am I right? No, on the shulchan, the kelim of the shulchan. So that's the lush of the klei sharis.
So he steals from the Beis Mikdash?
Yeah. It's a chanon peigenbay. It's a cool. Think of it as a mrid b'malchas. And where do we have this merumas in a pasuk? So Rashi right away says that this is a remes because this is Allah Mishim Sinai. It's not mafurish in the pasuk, and the pasuk in fact is talking about something else, but it's merumas in the pasuk. What's the remes? The remes is v'yevayu liras kivala es hakodesh v'mesu. They won't come to see kivala es hakodesh. Kivala could be used with the lashon of gineva. It could be coming as a lashon of Geneva. Rashi brings down a few examples where you say that. Right, but Rashi brings down, where was it? No, not Rashi, on the side it brings down. It says, B'loi mipiv, a pasuk in Yirmiyah. So it's a remes that if they are bala es hakodesh, they steal from kodesh from mesu, they will die. So that's the remes for this and kanam paigim. Makalal b'kaisim, someone who's makalal b'kaisim. What does this mean? Tanur Rav Yosef says yaka kaisim es kaismai. What he says is the kaisam should hit his kaismai, the one who made him. In other words, he's saying that the kaisam should go and hit kaviyachal Hashem.
What does the word kaisam mean?
Kaisam is like a kishaf machar. In Ivrit, we say kaisam is magic, right? So he's a sorcerer or somebody who does supernatural things. He's saying that the kaisam should hit his kaisam. In other words, the kaisam should hit Hashem, who is the one who has the koyach to make him. And he's basically saying that the kaisam has such a koyach, which obviously is not true. And it's very similar to, the Gemara is going to say later on, it's very similar to Berchas Hashem. Rabbanan Vitim Rab Bar Mari Amri, the Rabbanan, some say Rab Mari said a slightly different sprach that Keu Kaisam Lo Yul Koinu El Maknai. The Kaisam should him, his creator, his owner, and his creator.
Who's the owner and who's
the owner is Hashem, and Hashem is El Makna is not his creator. El Makna is the one who gives him everything. Hashem who gives all B'tuvei Chayinu, that we live from the grace of Hashem. So he's saying that the Kaisam should edit. So this is just like Rav Yosef said. It's I'm not sure that it's a machlekes between the two mandiyam over here, but either way, it's a kein berchas Hashem, and it's a kanam paigim bay. And the last one of Kanam Paigim Bay is Vaboil Aramis, someone who's boiling our gaita. Boimne Rav Kana me Rav Kana asked the Shaila from Rav. Loi pagay beKanan mahu. What happens if the Kanan were not pagay at him? What einish does he get? In Shai Rav L'Gmarei, Rav forgot his learning, and he didn't know what to answer. Akriyuhu l'Rav Kana b'chalmei.
Well, it's in the passion of Pinchas.
Yeah, we're going to come. The Gemara is going to talk about it. Yeah, but the question isn't what happens b'shas ma'isa. What happens if the guy was Boil Ramas? It was not in public, or it was in public. Nobody did anything. There was no Kanan Pagin by. It's 2 weeks later. What einish is he going to get? That's what Rav Kana wanted to know from Rav. Rav forgot what he learned about this, and he didn't know what to answer.
Can I find out it's effective today? Not.
Today, it's the Sfarim say that to be a kana, you have to be acting 1,000% for their Rebbeinu Shalom with no other pniyas. Pinchas HaTzadik was able to do that. I don't know that there's anyone today who could say that I have no other pniyas but through Ratzon Hashem.
Yeah.
So
find people stand up, make the kind of things. They come up and make big statements.
Yeah, if they're all l'shem shemayim, I'm sure they're partially l'shem shemayim, but can they be totally l'shem shemayim? It's hard to say that anyone today is on the level of Pinchas, right? Right? So what happens to somebody who was did not the kanam would not pay him? Rav didn't know what to answer. He forgot his learning. Then that night or later on, Akriyul Rav Kana b'chalmei, they read, the Bala Chalaymis read to Rav Kana in his dream. In other words, he had a dream, and he saw the following pasuk in his dream. It's a series of pasukim in Malachi. The pasuk says, Bagdi Yehuda v'toyeven es sabi Yisrael v'Yerushalayim. Yehuda was betrayed and was rebellious, was treasonous, and there was a teyeva, a disgusting thing was done in Yisrael and Yerushalayim. Ki chilal Yehuda kaidesh Hashem, because Yehuda was Mechala, the holy of Hashem, Asher Ahev, that Hashem loves.
Which Yehuda is this? Which Yehuda?
This would be talking about the Sheva Yehuda, or Yehud like Yehuda and Yisrael, like Klal Yisrael. Uval Basel Nechar, and was Baal a Basel Nechar. The Gemara is going to explain what Basel Nechar is a little later. Asa, so Rav Kana saw this pasuk in his dream. Amar Lei, he came and he said to Rav, Hachi Ukrayan, this is what they read to me in my dream. He knew it had some significance. He didn't know what it was. Ad Kore Rav L'Gmari. Rav remembered his learning, and he explained that this pasuk is taka referring to the shaila you asked, Rav Kana. What's going on? Bagdi Yehuda whoever this kachavim. It says Yehuda was treasonous. This aved's kachavim. Chen oimer Kain begadtem bi beis Yisrael Hashem. So you have betrayed in me. Hashem says. So you see that's aved zara. Then the pasuk continues, "V'te'eva es sabi Yisrael v'Yerushalayim." There was a te'eva done in Yisrael and Yerushalayim. Whatever was that? Zeh mishkav zachar. This is mishkav zachar. I thought you were coming, Itzi.
Early. I think that's what she would have wanted to learn.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you here. So te'eva es sabi Yisrael v'Yerushalayim is that mishkav zachar. There was a different taver that was done. V'cheinu aimer. How do you know that this is talking about mishkav zachar? Because the pasuk says, "V'zachar leitishkav mishkav yisha tayevahi." You see that we use the word tayeva by mishkav zachar. We're on pei beis amud aleph, about 10 lines from the top. Okay. Kichilad, the pasuk continues. Kichilad Yehuda k'teish Hashem. Yehuda was Machala, the holy of Hashem. What's this talking about? Zuzayna, this daver of nas. V'cheinu aimer siya kadesha. It says on the side, siya kadesha from Bnei Yisrael. There shouldn't be a kadesha from Bnei Yisrael. So you see the lashon of kadesha is by nas. And then the pasuk continues, Aval Basel Nechar Zeh Alakusis. This is somebody who is Baal Aramis, somebody who is Mizana with a Gaita, and that is Basel Nechar. So now, this Rav Kana was asking Rav, what's the punishment of somebody? The halacha is that if, the Mishnah said, that if somebody is Baal Aramis, Mizana, like we will see later on, like Zimri did with Kazvi Bastur in the time of Pinchas. So the halacha is Kanam Pagin by. Kanam can go and kill them right then and there, in public, right, B'shas Maisa. But Rav kind of asked Rav, what happens if the Kanam were not Pagin? What's the Einish for being Baal Aramis? So here we have a pasuk in Malachi that talks about Abal Akuses, or Baal Basar Nechar, and Uksiv Basrei, and the pasuk says after that in Malachi, Yachris Hashem Le'ish Asher Yasena Er Va'ina Me'ahale, I think the pasuk is, Me'ahale Yaakov, or Magish Minchal Hashem Tzvakis. Hashem will cut off the man that does this. He'll make an erva einan in the Ala Yaakov. The Gemara is going to explain what that means in a second, and not be able to bring a mincha to Hashem tzvakos. What does this mean? This means that this is the einish for those averos that it said before, and one of them is Baal Aramis. And what does it mean that what's going to happen to him? Erva eina im Talmid Chacham hu layilay erba chachamim. If he's a Talmid Chacham, he won't have any awakeness in the Chacham. In other words, he's going to get an einish because this is ultimate a Chachamim and a Kayin.
Everyone died for a certain avera, right?
What?
Everybody died for a certain avera.
Not erva einan. This is it sounds the same, but it's a totally different thing, right? Air is lashon of awake, right? Marsha says a pshat over here, a very interesting pshat. We had a Gemara about 10 blot ago. Gemara says that somebody who falls asleep in his learning in Beis Medrash, his terasi is not like karam, it's ripped up. So he says you're not going to be air, you're not going to be able to stay awake by the chacham. You're going to fall asleep, and your hair is going to get all ripped up. Va'ayna b'talmidim, and you won't have anyone answering him with talmidim. So if he's a talmid chacham, he's basically not going to have any chaverim, not going to be able to learn, not going to have any talmidim. In kainhu, and if he's a kain, la'yilei ben magish mincha l'Hashem tzvakos, he won't have a son who's able to bring a mincha to Hashem tzvakos. So he said this is the einish for Baal Aramis. Okay. Amar Abchi Bar Avuya Rachi Ravuya says, Kalabal Akusa, someone who's Baal and Aramis, someone who's Baal a guy, it's as if he's marrying into Avodas Kechavim. It's like you say Mechotanim, it's the same word. You're becoming Mechotanim with Avodah Zarah. Yeah, but what's the but that's talking about, but that says with Goyim. This is saying with Avodah Zarah. Right? So it's like you're becoming Mechotanim with Avodah Zarah, with the Getchka. The Ksiv, the pasuk says, "Uval bas el nechar." He was Baal, the bas, the daughter, el nechar of the strange god of the Avodah Zarah. Now, the chibas yesh lo nechar. Does Avodah Zarah have a god? Have a daughter? Excuse me. Avodah Zarah is it's for Evan, right? Doesn't have any kids. So how can you be Baal a bas el nechar? Ella zahabala kuses means somebody who's Baal a kuses. It's like he's becoming marrying into an Avodah Zarah family and into Avodah Zarah. Now we have another more, it's no shaykhis, but it's going to get us on a little bit of a tangent because Reb Chi Bar Avuya. Reb Chi Bar Avuya, so it's the second member of Reb Chi Bar Avuya. Kasav al Gulgalta shel Yehoyakim Zayis Vaydacheres. It was written on the skull of Yehoyakim that this plus one more. Yehoyakim was a king, and he was a rasha, and he got punished. And it was written on his skull that this punishment that he got killed is one punishment, but he's going to get another one. The Gemara is going to explain in a few minutes what it was. The Zakeineder of Preda, the grandfather of Rav Preda, we had a famous Rav Preda. The Gemara says Rav Preda taught his Talmud 400 times till he remembered. Right? So his grandfather, Ashkachuhu Gugalta Davashadi Bashar Yishleim, he found a skull that was thrown outside the gates of Yerushalayim.
Bishar, in the gates.
In the gates of Yerushalayim. And it said on the skull, Zayis Vaydacheres, this plus one more. So Kavra, he buried it. V'Hadar Navug, it rose up. Kavra of Hadar Navug, he buried again and again. It wouldn't stay buried. Amar, Haigul Galta Shal Yehoyakim. He said this must be the skull of Yehoyakim. The Ksive, the pasuk says, Kvuras Chamar Yikaver. The Navi says about this, Navi Yomi says about this, about Yehoyakim, that the burial of a donkey he'll be buried. Sachav dragged, V'Hashlech Mihala L'Shar Yishlayim, and schlepped, and thrown from here to the gates of Yerushalayim. So you see, he doesn't deserve burial. That's why he kept coming up. That's why he kept on coming up. But he said, Lamaisa, Malkahu, he was a king. It's not the derech eretz that he should be embarrassed like this. They should leave the skull just floating around over here on the floor. Shakla, he took the skull, he put it in some cloths, and he put it in a box. Asai Davidu, his wife came, and she had a bit of a surprise. Chazisa, and she saw the skull. Nafkas, she took it out. Nafkas, she went out, excuse me. She said to her friend, neighbor what it was. Amri Las, her neighbor was a Yenta, and said, you know what this must be? It's a Kamaisi, this must be the skull of his first wife. He didn't forget her. He's keeping a presence. Shagros el-Sanur. So the second wife is like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. So she went and she put the skull into the oven, into the firewood.
Who the wife that found it?
What? The lady found the Rav wife, the second wife. The Kol sign burned it. He also, when Rav Peda came back in and he figured out what happened, he said, this is what was said on the skull, this plus one more. And not only was the skull not buried, puras chamar, right, also it ended up getting burned.
So it was finished?
That was finished, yeah. So if you go to Yerushalayim now, it's just my chavrusa. I was in Yerushalayim last week, and he said, I was just there, I didn't see it. And then we got to the end of the Gemara and it says, oh, Taka, this is why you didn't get it. Yeah. Okay. Kesser Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael. Amar Bezdina Shel Chashmonai Gazru. We're going back to Beil Aramis for a few minutes. The Bezdin Chashmonai Gazru Habal Akusis Chayav Alam Shem Nashka. Somebody who is Beil Akusis is Chayav for four things. There's four things wrong with being Beil Akusis, and the acronym for them is Nashka. We'll see in a second what that is. Kesser Ravin, when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael, Amar, he said Shem Nashkaz. Also four things, but the last one is a different one. It's the Zayin and Aleph. What are they? The first one is Nida. Our Ramis is a Nida. Now, even though the Etzem, there's no Nida by a guy, but still Rashi says it's an icky thing. It's a Miyastik Muchlev Mechor. Two is Shefcha, that she's like a Shefcha. Because Klal Yisrael is called the master, Gvira Nikras, Rashi says. What?
You're going down a level.
Yeah. Third is Goya, that she's not Jewish. And the fourth, according to the second Mandi Amar, Ravin is Zaina, that she's a Zaina.
And it's only us to a kind, right?
Yeah, but anyone who's Baal her is going into these sugis. These are the Averis. Even though technically you don't necessarily have, Goya is Goya, yeah. But you have these four sugis of Averis. But Ravin, who said the second abbreviation, Nashgaz, didn't hold of the Aleph, which is Ishus. Ishus is marriage. That means that she was a married guy. So according to the first man, the Amar Rav Dimi, who said Nashka, you're also being paygame in an Ishus Ish. You're getting involved in someone else's marriage because the guy have marriage. But Ravin said no. There's no marriage by a guy. Right. Specifically by a guy. There's no marriage, right? But Rav Dimi said no. Neshayu vadil and mifkri. The goyim are not mafker their wives, and since they're not mafker their wives, it's also
in Russia they are.
Where?
It says the way with a married and Kuthim woman does not resemble adultery. Kuthim women are sensitive.
According, right? It's machlokes. But the second Manyama says the women are not they're not mafker their wives, and this is what we had. If you remember, we had a Gemara way back when that said that how do you know? How does by a guy? How does it considered for the halachas of goyim being mizana with each other for Shavmis B'nai Nayach? How do we know that they're considered married, right? And the Gemara said, if I remember correctly, I don't know if I'm quoting exactly, it says, when they say, she's his girl, it's basically translated to the vernacular, but that's basically what the Gemara said, right? And so you see that there is such a musig of marriage by Goyim, and that has a ramification over here, and that's why according to Ravin, Rav Dimi, you're chayiv on Nashka. Okay. Amar Rav Chisda. Now we're going back to the halachas of Kanan Pagin Bay. Habali Malech in Maranlai. Somebody comes in. We're three people, right? Comes into Bezdin and he says, Rabbi Isai, I see outside someone's being boiled on Aramis. Should I kill him? Okay. So what? He asked the Shaila. So Rav Chisda says you don't pass with him. Kanan Pagin Bay is the guy is so full of righteous rage.
Who's the guy who's telling on him?
The guy who's the kanoi, he's so full of righteous rage, and I don't mean that sarcastically. Is kinei l'Hashem tzvakis. He's a kanoi for the Rebbeinu. How could such a thing happen? And he goes and just acts and does the right thing. But if he's coming and asking us what's the right thing, then he's not a kanoi, right? A kanoi doesn't go and ask questions.
He's an instinct.
Yeah. Imar Nami, we learned also like this. Amram Bar Chana Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Chana said to Rabbi Yechanan, Habali Malach in Marinlai, that somebody comes to ask, you don't pass into him that you go Kanan Pagin Bay. Not only that, Pirish Zimri, Vaharga Pinchas Naragalav Chiddush. That if Zimri, who was the one who was being Mizana with Kazri Basur, with the Midyanis, right? If he turned around and saw Pinchas coming for him, and he pulled out his sword and killed Pinchas, right? Shempirish Zimri Vaharga Pinchas. I'm sorry. It said that's the next one. Shempirish Zimri. If Zimri was separated himself from me, in other words, he stopped being Boil Zimri, so he finished the Avera b'Shas Maisa. Vaharga Pinchas, and Pinchas killed him a second after he was Perish. In Eragol, Pinchas would have been killed because Kanam Pagin is only b'Shas the Avera. And not only that, if Nepach Zimri Vaharga Pinchas, if Zimri turned around and killed Pinchas as Pinchas was trying to kill him, Zimri wouldn't have been killed for killing Pinchas. Because Pinchas is a Raidif, Pinchas is killing him. So he would be allowed to kill Pinchas, and he would not get punished for that. So Kanam Pagin is a very specific type of scenario. Now let me ask you yeah, so let me ask you a question. So let's say you see Pinchas is coming to Zimri with the spear. He's about to kill him. Zimri's in the middle of the Avera with Kazvi. The halachas are all right. So now we said that if Zimri would turn around and kill Pinchas, he would be okay. He wouldn't be chayiv misa for that because Pinchas is a raidif. Pinchas is coming to kill him.
He's doing Avera.
He's doing Avera.
Which they finished. They're finished.
What?
Doing that Avera is finished.
No, he's still in the middle of the Avera. Pulls out a gun, he's going to shoot him. Okay? He's a very. We're going to see on Ahmed Beis that Zimri was a very capable person. And I know he's a very capable person. He was busy with Avera for a long time. The Gemara is going to say. So now, let me ask you a question. So you're standing over there and you see Pinchas coming, right? We said the Gemara says that Pinchas was Raidif. So are you allowed to go and kill Pinchas?
Raidif for that reason.
He's a Raidif. He's about to kill Kanan, but he's about to kill Zimri. Are you allowed to?
No, he's not coming after you.
No, we say someone who's Raidif Chaver Lahargai Nitin Matzil V'Nafshi. Anyone who's there can go and kill a Raidif. If you see somebody chasing somebody with a knife, you can kill that person, right? Or not if you could right? Not if you could, let's say, shoot him in the leg, right?
Mafia style.
Yeah, but you're allowed to kill him. Are you allowed to kill Pinchas? So the Rosh says no.
Why?
The Rosh says since Pinchas had a heter to do it because of Kanan Paigabai, it's true he was a roidif l'gabe Zimri, but he's not a roidif l'gabe you. So you're not allowed to kill him. And when the Gemara says roidifu, it means l'gabe Zimri, but not l'gabe everybody else. Okay. Vayemer Moshe. Now the Gemara is going to say what happened in the story of Zimri and Pinchas. What happened? This is after the story with Baal Pa'ar, and Moshe said to the Shefta Yisrael, listen, that we got to gather together. It's a terrible avera that happened over here. Hirgu ish anashim and smadim Baal Pa'ar. The pasuk says that people should kill the people in their shvatim who did that by the Zara of Baal Pa'ar. Halach Shifta Shashim Netzel Zimri ben Salu. Shifta the Shevet of Shimon went to Zimri ben Salu, and they said to him, Hein done and Dina Nefashas Vatyosh V'Shaisid. Moshe Rabbeinu is killing us. He's downing Dina Nefashas against the people in your Shevet, and you're sitting and being quiet. Where's your leadership? So what did Zimri ben Salu do? Amad v'kibitz chafta al dalf Yisrael. He gathered 24,000 people from the Klal Yisrael. V'alachitzel Kazbi, and he went to Kazbi, who was the princess of Midian. Amar he said, Hashmi'ili, listen to me. In other words, come, let's be Mazana. Amralai, she said to him, Bas Melachani, I'm a princess. My father said, I shouldn't listen, El Gadol Shabem, only to the greatest one, to Moshe Rabbeinu. Amrullah, he said to her, Afu Nasi Shevetu. Afu, it's the third person, he's talking about himself. I'm Nasi Shevet. I'm no small potatoes. I'm a chashva guy. Not only that, Shehu Gadol Mimenu. I'm greater than Moshe. Why? Shehu Sheni Lebeten, Shehu Shlish Lebeten. Zimri was from Shevet Shimon. She was the second Shevet. And Moshe was from Shevet Levi, the third Shevet. So I'm more chashav. Tafsa b'vul risa, he chapped her here, grabbed her by the hair, v'avi'et to Moshe, brought her to Moshe. Amrulain, he said to Moshe, Ben Amram, son of Amram, Zu asura emeteres, is she asur or mutter? In Taimra asura, and if you say that she's asur, Bas Yisra mi'yitir lach. Who was mater the Bas Yisra to you? You also married the Shei Shiksa. That was his taina. It was chutzpah, yeah. The answer to the question was that during Matan Torah, all the Goyim who were connected to the Yidden all became Jewish, just like the Erev Rav did, right? And she was married to Moshe Rabbeinu, and she became a kosher Jewess. And beforehand, there was no halachas about marrying somebody who was an Akum. But Lamaisa, because of this big chutzpah mistama, Moshe didn't know what to do. Nis'alma mimenu halacha. It says that the halacha of what to do was hidden from him. Go kulam b'vchia. They all started crying because everyone was sitting over there. The Gemara is going to say in a couple of lines that the whole Sanhedrin was there. He came. It wasn't like a one-on-one.
How Moshe did it? What were they crying about?
They didn't know the halacha and such a big chil Hashem that's going on over here. That the Zimmer Ben Salu is going and being mizana with it, insulted Moshe, being mizana with this lady. It was a big clap. And it was in public, right? We're going to say very soon that this was in front of the Sanhedrin. He came to Moshe in front of the Sanhedrin. Yeah, exactly. It went viral. That's what the pasuk says. They were crying by it says that he brought the Midyanis to the eyes of Moshe and to the eyes of all the Das Bnei Yisrael, which is the Sanhedrin. And they were all crying by the Pesach Hamayid. This is why they were crying. And then the pasuk says, Pinchas ben Elazar saw. What did he see? The Gemara is going to say three answers what he saw. Amar Rav says, Ra Maisa, he saw the Maisa, what happened over here. You remember the halacha. Amar Loi, and he said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Achi avi Abba, my father's brother. In other words, his great uncle. He's talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. Isn't this what you taught me when you came down from Arsina? That somebody who is boil in Aramis, the Kanan could be Pegay, like we have in our Mishnah. And Malay Moshe said, the one who reads the letter, he should be the shliach to carry it out. In other words, saying, you remember this halacha, you go do it. That's what Rav said. Shmuel said, what did Pinchas see? Ra, he saw the pasuk, that when you have a chil Hashem, neged Hashem, then you don't no cheshbonus, no chachma, no eitz, no tfuna. You just got to do what you got to do, and therefore kol makom sheish chil Hashem. Whenever there's a chil Hashem, in chol kavod the Rav, you're not chol kavod the Rav, and you don't have a problem of being moira halacha, l'fnei rabbi, or being a bal gaiva. You just go. You got to do what you got to do. And Rav Yitzchak Amar, Rav Rav Elazar, Ra, he saw Shabbat Malach Vishkas Ba'am. He saw that the Malach came and he made, he started making a destruction. What happened over here? The Gemara is going to say in Amud Beis that the Malach came and made a diversion, and so that Pinchas would be able to get in and be able to punish Zimri and Cosby, and the Malach came and made some destruction in the Bnei Shimon, so that it would be he would be able to slip in. The Gemara is going to say the story right now. So what did Pinchas do? He got up from amongst the congregation. He took a spear in his hand. Because you see from here, you don't come and bring weapons into shul. I know somebody who carries a gun with him all the time, right? It's not so pasha to see the Gemara is not such a big fan of that.
What? When you come to Noy, you might do something crazy?
It said no. He went out of front of the Eda, which we said is the Sanhedrin. So he went out from the base medrash, right? And then he went to get a spear. He wasn't carrying a spear with him. Shalav Shidna, he took the blade of the spear, the head of the spear, he took that off. He put it into his clothing, like he hid it in his sleeve or somewhere in his clothing. And then he was leaning and going on the stick. In other words, he was using the stick as a walking stick. Because otherwise, if he came with a spear, they wouldn't have let him in. When he came to the Shevet of Shimon, Amri said like this: Where do you see that the Shevet of Levi is bigger than Shimon? If you guys can do this, you're Bnei Shimon, I could do this too. I also want to be Mizana. Point me to the right direction. Let me find this Cosby. Amru, they said, Hanichulay, let him go and also do a tashmish with this lady. Nichnas, let him go in. Itiru pushnas adavar. The Talmidei Chacham were mater. The Rosh Yeshiva said, okay, they knew Pinchas was a tzaddik, right? They say, Pinchas is ours, I too. Let him go in. It's good. It's good for good PR for us to show everybody that everyone's mater. Right? I'm Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan says, Shisha Nisim. That's a story. No, we're going to come back to it. Shisha Nisim Nasu Leil Pinchas. There are 6 Nisim that happened to Pinchas. Echad Shoylo Zimri Lifresh Flay Pirish. Zimri should have stopped being boil, and he wasn't. The Gemara is going to say he was boiled many times. And why was he not Pirish? Because if he was Pirish, and we said before that they don't have Kanan Pagam anymore. So that was number 1. He should have called out to the people in the Shevet, hey, come save me, Pinchas is about to kill me, and he didn't. When Pinchas poked the spear into them, he did it by the genital area of both of them. And that was a siman to the people outside after that it was done, that Pinchas Gulon Shem Shemaim, that he hit them where they're doing the Isser. The echad shlei nishbadu min haraymach, and one of the nisim is that they didn't slip off the spear didn't fall off the spear, and therefore people were able to see where he stabbed them. The echad sheba malach v'gviyas amashke. If a malach came and picked up the doorpost, the way I understand this is that if you would have had to take them out through the door, then it would have, the spear would have gotten in the way, it would have flown off, and that you wanted this was demonstration. What's going on? So the Malach came and picked up the doorpost. The Achad and the 6th one is Shabbat Malach v'Eshchas Ba'am. That the Malach came and made destruction by the people. He made a diversion so that Pinchas would be able to get in. Pinchas came and he took with these 2 corpses and he threw them down in front of the Rebbeinu Shalom. He said, Rebbeinu Shalom, Master of the universe, because of these 2 people, will you have 24,000 people from Klal Yisrael die? Shenemar, we had this Gemara before, about 40 blot ago. Shenemar, the Pasuk said, Vayamut Pinchas vayifalel. Pinchas stood and he was vayifalel. What was that?
Skip going.
I'm sorry. Should we have 24,000 of Yisrael die? From the Shnem, like the Pasuk says, the people who died in Megefa were 24,000 people. And that's what the Pasuk says. Pinchas got up, and it's a funny lashon. Amar Rabbi says vayispalel. The normal way of saying it is vayispalel. Lo remember, it doesn't say vayispalel. El vayifalel. Melamed kaviyachol shasa plilas some kind of. It's teaches us that he made plilas. He made a din. Plilas is marasim the flilim. It means bezdin. It means that he argued with the Rebbeinu Shalom. He said it's not fair. You shouldn't be destroying 24,000 people because of these 2 people. It's like he was negotiating. He went into negotiations. Big Malach Yashar the Malach Yashar wanted to push Pinchas away. You don't do this to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Amar Lahem, the Rebbeinu Shalom said to them, leave him, Kanoi ben Kanoi, who is a Kanoi, the son of a Kanoi. He's a Kanoi, Pinchas himself is a Kanoi, and he's the son of a Kanoi because he's from Shevet Levi, who was a Kanoi by Dina. Meshiv Chema ben Meshiv Chema, he's a Meshiv Chema who turned away the wrath of Hashem, the descendant of Meshiv Chema, who was Aaron HaKayin, by the Maisa of Kairach, was he took the Ketairas and he was Aymed ben Achayim ben Mason, and he also returned Hashem's wrath back. So basically, he was saying he's an absolute pure tzaddik, and don't push back. His chidush shvatim mevazen, I say. The shvatim afterwards started being mevazen. Reisim ben Puti zeh shapitim aviyim agam lavetz rechavim v'harag nasi shev Yisrael. Do you see this Ben Puti, who his grandfather his mother's father was fattening cows for Avodah Zarah. Putiel, Yisrael was called Putiel, and V'harag Nasi Shevet Yisrael. And this guy went and he said, he was too big for his britches. He went and killed the Nasi of one of the Shvatim. Because of this, that they were making fun of his lineage, the pasuk came and said his yichus. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen went all the way back through an extra generation to show that he was pure. Hashem said to Moshe, go give him shalom. Like it says in the pasuk, go tell him I give him my promise of shalom. And this kapara that he did is right, that it should be mechaper and go on forever, like the pasuk says. The next pasuk, that Hashem gave Pinchas a bris kunas olam. Amar Rav Nachman, Rav Nachman said Rav. Now, if you remember before, we said that it was a nace that Zimri was not Pirish. Okay? Right? What do you mean it was a nace? Because he was with her the normal amount of time, he should have been finished. Right? But now we're going to see what kind of the nace was. Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rav Nachman said the name of Rav. Ma'adik Siv, what's the pasuk? It says, Zarzir Masnayim Oisayish Umelech Alkum Imai. In this pasuk, he says, this is a pasuk in Mishlei, and he says this is talking about the Ma'aseh of Zimri. So it says Zarzir is the gematria. You can do it if you want. Zarzir gematria 424. Zarzir is Daled Meis Vesem VaArba Beilis Boil Is Rasha Isayan. Zimri, that Rasha was Boil Cosby 424 times. I just said it was an ace. Right? I don't have another way of understanding it. The only other way to understand it is to say that the Gemara is being megazim for effect, which it sometimes does. But you have to know Ul Shas really well to know when it is and when it isn't.
400 is used as a guzman.
But it doesn't say 400, it's 424. Right? That's a very specific number. So it's, that's why I introduced this Gemara by saying that the Gemara right before said that the fact that he wasn't Pirish was a nace. And Pinchas waited until he was weak. And he didn't know that Pinchas didn't realize that the Rebbeinu Shalom, who's the Melech Alkom, I'll explain the second one means, is with him. That Hashem is with him and he doesn't have to wait. He could have gone and attacked Zimri even when he was strong. So this is how you read the pasuk. Zarzir. After 424 Be'ilas, Masnayim, he waited. The Lashon of Masan is waiting. Oisayish, Lashon of weakness until he was weak. But Pinchas didn't have to wait because Melech Al Kamimoy, the king who is Al Kam, it's like Kam is standing up. The upright king was with him. So Hashem was with him. He could have attacked him right away and he would have been okay. Masnisatan in the Brisa we learned that it wasn't 424, it was Shishim, 60. He became like scrambled egg, essentially, right? In other words, his zera was his beitzim were so used that he was not in good condition. And she, Cosby, was like a aruga, like a row full of water.
Garden bed.
Yeah. Amar Rav Kana, Moshava Beisa, that this aruga was as if it was a Beisa. This clearly has to be an exaggeration. There's no way that this could literally be true. Even al Pines, it doesn't make sense. Tanur Rav Yosef says.
It makes sense with al Pines.
No, because humans are not like that. No person has any part of their body that's a Beisa. It's incredibly big. Tanur Rav Yosef, even though Chabashan, if he was a woman, wouldn't have had Mishav Beisa. And Tanur Rav Yosef says, Kevra Shala Ama. Her kever, the place of opening of her rechem, was an Amma. Amar Rav Shesha says, the Cosby Shema, her name wasn't Cosby, Shalnai Bastor Shema. Her real name was Shalnai. V'lama Nikra Shmai Cosby. And why was she called Cosby? She Kozva Be'avia. She lied, or she disobeyed her father. In what sense? Because her father said, only go with the greatest one, only go with Moshe Rabbeinu, and she went with Zimri. Davar Achar, different shot is Kazbi is like shorthand. Sha'amra Levia, she said to her father, Kais bi shecht for me, Amzad this nation. And that's what people say, what kind of a woman this Shalnai was. Apparently there's an expression that people would say, and the Gemara is explaining the genesis of this expression, being Kani L'Urvani, in the private places between the reeds and the marshes, Shalnai, that's where Shalnai hangs out, in a private place. My boy Bahadi Kalfi Dekani, what does she want by the peeled reeds, the skins of the reeds? Shalnai, what does she want over there? My boy, what does she want? Gaf Salima, she wants to make her mother into a Zaina. In other words, she wants to be Mazana, and people are going to say, just like you're a Zaina, your mother must have been a Zaina. So she's not remembered fondly over here. Rabbi Yechon says, Chamisha Shemus Yeshlai, Zimri had 5 names. He had 5 names. What are they? Zimri was one, Uven Salu was another, the second, Vishal was the third, Uven Aknanis was the fourth, Ushlomiel ben Surishadeh was the 5th. I was telling my Charusa, maybe this is why we call people who's not doing so well, we call them a Shlomiel, maybe. Zimri al Shanasik Beit Samazeres. He called Zimri because he became like a Beit Samazeres. Zimri sounds like Muzeres. Ben Salu al Shehisti Avoinis al Shamashpachtei. Ben Salu means that it's because he sort of adorned his family with Averis. In other words, he made this was the distinguishing characteristic and not positively for his family. Shaul al Shehishlo Atzmal Dvar Avera. He lent himself to Dvar Avera. Ben Aknanis al Sha'asa Ma'aseh Kanan. He did a Ma'aseh of Kanan. What was his real name? His name was Shlomiel ben Surishadeh. Okay. This was the Sugi of Kanan Pegimai. Now we go weiter. We said in the Mishnah that a Kohen Shishimish B'Tumah, a Kohen was Meshamish and Tumah. We said that he does his brother Kanim don't take him to Bezdin, but they take him out and they bang his head with sticks until he dies. Kohen Shishimish B'Tumah Chayav Misi B'dei Shemayim or Ein Chayav Misi B'dei Shemayim? Kain was Meshamish B'Tumah. Is he Chayav Misa B'dei Shemayim? Or is he not Chayav Misa B'dei Shemayim? Amrlei Tinituha. He said, we learned this. It's our Mishnah. Kain shed Shimish B'Tumah. Ein Achla Kainim Avinos LeBezdin. His brothers, the Kainim, don't bring him to Bezdin. El Pirchei Kuna Maitzina Yisei Chutz LaZara. The Pirchei Kuna take him outside the Azara. Paitzina Smoiche B'Gizran, and they bust open his brain with pieces of wood. V'Yisag Daitim Chayav B'dei Shemayim. If you're going to hold that he's Chayav Misa B'dei Shemayim, Lishkevei Deliktel B'dei Shemayim. Why do they have to do this? Leave him. The Rebbeinu Shalom will take care of what the Rebbeinu Shalom needs to take care of. So must be. He's not chayiv. In fact, the Gemara, what are you talking about? Elamai ain't chayiv. You can tell me he's not chayiv. Miyakamidi derachmana patri v'ananekim v'niktali. Is there such a thing that the Rebbeinu Shalom says, no, I'm not going to kill the guy. This is not the einish he gets, and we people go and kill him? So it can't be that it's misa. It can't be that you're going to tell me that he doesn't get misa b'yishmayim. Otherwise, how would the kohenim be allowed to kill him? In fact, the Gemara of Eloi, there's no such thing as something that the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't kill and people could kill. But then we learned in a Mishnah, Mishilaka Vishana. This is our Mishnah from the last Amud Beis. When somebody did Aveira that gets Malchus and he did it again, and the Gemara said all the details over there. Bezdin Machnis Naisel Kippah. Bezdin takes him into the Kippah, right, and then he ends up dying there. So the same question, Rahman Apache Vanan Katina, like the Rebbeinu Shalom pattered him and we're going to kill him? What kind of business is that? So you see, you do it.
He's helping out. We're speeding it up.
That's what the Gemara said over there. So the Gemara is going to say over here, Amar of Yumi explained that Gemara in the name of Reish Lakish, the Malchus of Krisas Kino. We're not talking about Stam Malchus. We're talking about Malchus of things that, of Isurim that he did that are Chayiv Krisas, the Gav Baraktalahu, that he's a person who's Chayiv Nisa. So from that Gemara you have no right, because he's Taka Chayiv Nisa, right, but he's Taka Chayiv Nisa over there. In fact, the Gemara of V'goinim is a kisva, somebody who steals from Klei Sharis. He's Chayiv Nisa B'dei Shemayim, that's Karas. And if he went and he did it a couple of times, we said, where it says, we're Makar with Misasa, like you quoted before. In fact, the Gemara, but somebody who's Goinim is a kisva, somebody who steals from the Kelim of Hegdash, Amar of Yehuda B'Klei Sharis, So over there, there's no Chiyav Misa, and still we kill him. Where it says Amrav Kanam Pagabay, where it says Amrav Yehuda b'Klei Shares Askinan or Miza. We're talking about Klei Shares, and it is Ramas in the pasuk. We have the pasuk that we brought on the bottom of Amid Beis before, that you see from the Remes that you have a Chiyav Misa. So it's not. So the Rebbeinu Shalom also made it very clear what the Aina should be. We have the case by the Makalas Akaisam, the case like Berchas Hashem. The Mexican Berchas Hashem. We learn that Rav Yosef said that the thing he said is Yaakov Kaisam is Kaismai, which we said at the beginning of the shir tonight was like Mevarchas Hashem, and Mevarchas Hashem is Chayav Misa. In fact, more of a Boiler Ramis. Boiler Ramis is not Chayiv Misa, and still we're saying Kanam Pagnabai. Where it says, Riyu al Rav Kana B'chalmei, they gave Rav Kana that pasuk in his dream. The Adkari Rav L'Gemara, and Rav remembered his learning, and we brought down the pasuk that says, Yachris Hashem, Hashem will cut them off. So you see, you have a raya, so all these cases are cases where you have a situation of Misa, and that's why you have Kanam Pagan by. But the Gemara still doesn't know about the story, what's going to be by the Kayanim. Why by the Kayanim couldn't you kill the guy? Because he's not Chayiv, he wouldn't be Chayiv Misa if and we're still going to kill him. So the Gemara is going to have to figure this out still. The Gemara is going to continue, but the next piece is a longer piece. It's 9:30, 2 lines to the bottom. Let's stop here.
So about a Zaina, I had a friend of mine who got divorced.